Was smoking all my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking. Welcome to the channel. And we got 25 funny differences between Canadians and Americans. And honestly, I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you guys. So with that being said, we just go ahead and go ahead and hop right into this. Original link will be in the description. Other than that, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. And here we go. Let's hop into this.
Bob posts a lot.
Canada and the US have somewhat of a love-hate relationship. It's a sibling rivalry that goes back centuries. So what exactly are the differences between the two? Today, we're going to take a look at how the longest unprotected border in the world has defined North America. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 funny differences between Canadians and Americans. 25. Canadians tend to trust authority, whereas Americans are suspicious of it. This goes back to the fact...
Yeah, in America, we don't play with authority like that at all. It's just too much corruption, blatant corruption, and weird things that we see, and just, nah.
fact that the Canadians remained loyal to the crown, while America showed King George the door. 24. Canadians bond over hockey. Americans bond over football.
I like hockey. I actually love hockey. I want to go to some hockey games this winter.
In general, Canadians also put less emphasis on sports. 23. Canadians spend a lot of time comparing themselves to the US. Americans don't think about Canada very often at all. Actually, almost never. I love you, Ken. And all my Canadian friends. This is in jest, dear God. 22. Some parts of Canada sell milk in bags. Bagged milk would be highly suspicious in the US. I'd totally drink it. Milk's great. Best beverage. No, absolutely.
No, milk is fantastic.
Milk is the best beverage in the world.
Yes, it is. And it comes in chocolate.
Yeah. I actually don't like chocolate as much.
That's weird.
I prefer white.
Don't like chocolate milk, bro? What?
I can do it. I prefer... 21. The US sees itself as a melting pot. That was a good restaurant. While Canada sees itself as a mosaic. The difference is very slight, but basically in the US, there's more mixing and blending between immigrant cultures, while in Canada, immigrants tend to keep more of their language and traditions rather than mix with others. 20. Canadians have more of a tall poppy syndrome, which is a tendency to distrust or discredit anyone who stands out in a prominent position or wealth. In this sense, Canada is a lot more like Europe. Conformity is more encouraged in Canada than in the US. If America does well at anything, it's encouraging innovation and non-conformity. 19. Canadians love their flag, but Americans seem to love their flag more. Seriously, nobody...
Yeah, Americans don't play about that flag. I mean, you either gonna see that, or the Confederate flag. One of the two.
Beats America at flags. You can't beat Canadians at maple syrup, though. 18. Canadians put more emphasis on higher education. Actually, Canada puts more emphasis on it than any other country in the world. It leads the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, with 53% of the population having a college education. The OECD average is 32%. 17. Canadians generally approve of their government. Americans hate and distrust theirs. This boils down to the fact that the Canadians see government as a good thing, while Americans see it as a necessary evil. 16.
Yeah.
Americans are more individualistic. This goes back to the Wild West mentality. The very word Canada, on the other hand, is derived from a local Iroquoian word for village. Canadians are more communally minded. 15. Canada's right wing is America's left wing. In the political sense, Canadian politics tend to be more liberal. This doesn't mean that Canada doesn't have conservative politics. It certainly does. The political system is a lot less polarized, however, and doesn't pull to the extremes as much. It has 5 primary political parties. 14. Both Americans and Canadians think they're more free. In Canada, this is due to more progressive policies. In the US, it's due to lack of government policies.
13.
Americans are more confrontational. Not necessarily in a bad way, but Canadians are more likely to just hold everything in and let it stew. Or apologize.
12.
Canadians pretend
I guess that's an opinion. I've never came across too many Canadians to know if that's a fact.
Canada has no problems. America pretends the US just has quirks.
11.
Canadians don't get to experience the joys of Pandora and Spotify due to licensing restrictions.
10.
Although Canadians do feel quite a bit of connection with their province/city, Americans identify much more with their state than they do with the country as a whole, except for Quebec, Canada's Texas.
Yeah, Americans definitely more prideful of like states. You know, New York, California. You know, Texans, Florida. You know, Chicago. I mean, everybody like Tennessee. You know, Nashville. Like everybody just is definitely more state pride and city pride than anything. Definitely.
9.
Canadians talk about the War of 1812 a lot. Americans aren't quite sure what that is. Boston Tea Party, anyone?
8.
Canadians are more passive-aggressive. A good example of this would be tribalism and all of its derivatives. While it's more overt in the US, that doesn't mean it's any less in Canada. It just comes out in a more backhanded fashion.
7.
Canadians brag about how cold it is, while Americans brag about how warm it is. Unless you live in Minnesota, then you're basically Canadian.
6.
That's true. We definitely appreciate our warm days for sure.
Americans are much more polarized on almost everything. But then again, there are more people in just California than all of Canada, so it makes sense that Canadians would be more unified.
5.
In the US, talking about American politics is taboo, but in Canada, talking about American politics is a national pastime.
4.
Canadians are more likely to take off their shoes in the house. Of course, this depends on location, but in many parts of the US, walking with shoes in the house is acceptable. Maybe it's the cowboy influence.
3.
Canadians think Canada is completely different from the US. Americans, on the other hand, don't notice much of a difference between the two countries. As a note, from a European perspective, any differences will seem a bit overstated.
2.
Americans have it easier when it comes to shopping online. In Canada, many stores don't offer online shopping, and many of them...
Yeah, see, I wouldn't be able to do that. I like my online shopping. I don't really... There's a lot of times where I just don't want to be around other humans like that. I don't want to be, I don't. Like, I like to just get it online real quick. So that's definitely got to be that's a big thing for me.
don't even have a website to begin with.
1.
Canada has 2 official languages on a national level, English and French. Americans have no official language on a national level. Each state decides whether or not to adopt English as an official language. Tristan, we should go to Canada one day. Let's do it. You want to go now?
Sure.
We got some hockey to watch. Actually, by the time this video comes out, I think the Stanley Cup playoffs will be over.
I don't like hockey anyways.
Go Preds! No, we're gonna go watch hockey. Let's go. To hockey!
What a terrible, terrible outro.
I feel like we keep saying that every week.
Enjoying our lists?
So to be completely
Shroom with mud water and change your life.
to be completely honest, there it's like I haven't really been around too much Canadians, to be honest with you, but to really know the facts of what he was saying. But when I really look at the map and I really look at it, it's like it's all one landmass. Like it's crazy. You would think it's separated by some type of ice wall or something, right? Like you literally can just go right up there and they can just come right down here. It's right there. So, but hey, when you look at different states in the US, they'd be so different. You would think they're separated by ice walls, just certain states be just such a different world. So it's not surprising that there's so many differences. What's really got me though, as far as like when he said, people are more likely to walk with their shoes on in the U.S. in someone's house. I would say that's like 50-50, honestly. It's like 50-50. I guess in Canada, like, y'all just, for my Canadians watching, like, y'all just don't do that at all, but it's a sign of respect. Take your shoes off. I get it, but I think that's more 50-50 in the U.S. for sure. For sure, But that was an interesting video. Definitely learned some new things. My favorite thing that stood out was hockey. I enjoy hockey, so shout out to my Canadians. And if you enjoyed this video, original link will be in the description. Drop them recommendations, and I'll be back with more. Much love, y'all.